What's going on, guys? This is Miasin. So the new Kaiju Sky Striker monster just got announced a few days ago, and I really wanted to make a revamp for this deck. New combo video, deck profile, and testing video as always. So before this video starts, make sure you like and subscribe, and let's jump right into combo number 1, which isn't really a combo, but rather like a lowercase combo. Anyways, so assuming whatever you go second, your opponent has a bunch of hand traps. The deck just inherently plays through hand traps, so whatever Ash on the engage, it's fine because if you can Kagari recycle back the Ash, you're going to be able to use it anyways. But you can't go for Kagari on main phase 1 or main phase 2 because Valor can clear it, and also Ghost Bell can be used to negate Kagari. So how would you be able to recycle back that engage safely? Well, don't worry, there is a way. You can tag out during the battle phase for Kagari, and that would play around the effect Valor, but for the Ghost Bell, it's kind of hard because it chains itself directly to the Kagari, so you need something like Sky Striker Ace Rose in order to chain block. So yeah, 2 trigger effects, and your opponent can only DD Crow you, and of course if you have something like Ghost Bell, which is a hand trap itself, you will be able to negate the DD Crow, obviously, so you were able to kind of play around the DD Crow and Ash in a way, and, well, not play through, and play around the effect Valor and Ghost Bell, and of course you still have your body. You dealt 4,500 damage to your opponent. You can make a Zeke on main phase 2 to clear your monsters, of course make Shizuku right after, and you can do whatever you want with that engage. Your opponent can have so many hand traps, it just doesn't matter. So that's it for combo number 1. Let's get into the next one. Okay, so this will be showcasing the power of Rose and how it can literally just deal with Dragoon almost single-handedly if your opponent went for Anaconda into the Dragoon instead of Red Ice Fusion into it. So just one card gets you so far. You can go for that Hayate and then attack, and this kind of gets you to a fork where 2 things can happen. So I'm actually going to be covering both and showing you literally what's going to happen. So let's just say that your opponent negates the Hayate and doesn't actually try to negate the Rose. What's gonna happen is that you're going to be able to revive back the Rose, negate that Dragoon, and then on main phase 2 you can even go Kaina, negate, prevent Dragoon from attacking next turn, and then you can go for Shizuku, get your end phase search, and that's pretty much it. But the thing is that Dragoon will still stay on the field, so unless you had something like a Afterburner, you won't be able to destroy it. Now there is one other way your opponent could actually deal with your Rose, and I'm going to show you right now. Okay, now again, just with Rose, look at what you can do. So this time you're going to be attacking again over the Anaconda. It has to be a monster in the extra monster zone, so it's gonna die, and assuming that your opponent doesn't negate the Hayate with the Dragoon and tries to actually hold it for the Ray, which by the way has to be negated because when this gets revived, it negates without targeting, so the Dragoon will not be able to negate anything after that. You're still going to have that Hayate, and you can go into Kagari, recycle back engage, and this is a really cool play that you couldn't actually do before. You can finally search a Kaiju and literally just Kaiju your opponent Dragoon right away, go for Shizuku, get that Hornet for your follow-up play. Yeah, your opponent just lost a huge boss monster. You literally only had to commit 1 card into that, and you still have 2 cards total. So you went +1, your opponent had to discard a card and lose Dragoon and get like random bad monster that doesn't really do anything. Well, for him at least. Yeah, that's it for this combo. Let's get into the next one. Alright, so this is kind of like a 2-in-1 package deal. The majority of people already know that, but let's just say you have multi-rule and Shizuku. On your end phase, you can go Shizuku, surge that Widow Anchor, and then use it on yourself, and then multi-rule reset back that Widow Anchor past turn to your opponent. Now, one really important thing is that this Widow Anchor was reset off of multi-rule. If it gets sent from the field to the graveyard, it would be banished instead. Now, what happens if the activation gets negated? Of course, we're trying to negate the Kepler. Our opponent goes High King Genghis to negate. Of course, it negates the activation. Will it go to the graveyard? Will it get banished? The answer is, even though multi-rule would banish the cards when they leave the field, cards that get their activation negated are not technically treated on the field. They're like kind of being there, but not physically being there. Yeah, they're technically unaffected by the clause of multi-rule, and they will go to the graveyard by game mechanics. Of course, if you're under something like Dark Law, it would be different. The card would still have to get banished because it's not, of course, worded the same way as multi-rule. But that's it for this combo. Let's get into the final one. Okay, so this combo is quite unrealistic and will most likely never happen, but it can very often happen post turn 1. Of course, if you're going second, you're trying to OTK, it's definitely not gonna happen unless you're actually the god of lottery or something. But back when Engage was a 3, maybe it could have actually happened a bit more reliably. But anyways, your opponent goes, well, you go area 0 for that back row. Yeah, you get your Widow Anchor because you're good at the game. You go MST on your area 0. You get ashed because your opponent just feels like you had to commit so many cards, lose 2 cards just to 1 Ash, but at the same time you fueled your graveyard with 3 cards, so it's kind of like in your favor. And now you can go engage into that Hornet. Of course, that's probably the better play as well as getting the Ray, but let's just say you went for Hornet and got like the token here. You can go for the Kagari to recycle back the engage, obviously, and depending on your draws, you might actually legitimately be able to kill your opponent here. Of course, it's really draw dependent, but just with this hand, we realize that we can have around 9,000 for something like that damage on the board right now, so we can Kaiju that face down monster because we need to have a Sky Striker Ace monster on the field in order to Kaiju our opponent with this Hamp, and then Shark Cannon can revive back the Ash, and from there on out we will no longer have access to a Sky Striker monster on the field, as well as an open main monster zone slot for that Widow Anchor, so that Celine can actually revive back the Veiler and then make access Code Talker. We have to pop that Phantasme first because it does prevent the Widow Anchor from being able to negate and steal, and then once that is done, we can negate and steal the Hamp, normal summon the Ray. If we went for Ray instead of Hornet Drones, would have been the exact same thing. We would have had to go Chilling 1, Chilling 2, and then turn the token into literally any Sky Striker monster from the extra deck, and that would have been game regardless. Yeah, whether you want to search for Hornet or for Ray literally doesn't change anything, but in case you get some bad draws, I definitely do recommend obviously taking the Ray instead, because at least your monster would be you would get constant recursion. But that's pretty much it for this combo video. Definitely let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.